All right, Vetters, Patrick here with Vetted. Today we have a very special episode because we are going to be reacting to the final trailer of Disclosure Day, the brand new movie from Steven Spielberg that releases June 12th in the States and even earlier worldwide. There's already been some early reactions of the film, and they're calling it Steven Spielberg's best film in 20 years, right? So this is going to be amazing. Now, I'm also going to be showing you a bunch of different interview clips and stuff around the film. Just add some more context and give us some more details of what we can expect coming up. Now, I, for one, am super excited for this film. I honestly cannot wait to see it. And we are so close, y'all, to seeing this film. So, look, let's react to the trailer, and then we'll go from there.
I can see you.
I am much more inclined now than I was when I made Close Encounters to really believe that we're not the only intelligent civilization in the universe.
Damn.
What did you steal?
Secrets. People have a right to know the truth.
This is a story about us, all of us,
Good morning, Kansas City.
up against the most extraordinary event in human history.
What's happening to me? I'm frightened. I'm frightened out of my wits.
You don't need to be. You have someone else.
Daniel Kellner,
Who is this?
do not go back to the house. They found you. I don't know who you are, but they're gonna kill you.
Got that flip phone.
The human race cannot accept what we know. We need to stop it any way we can.
What am I doing? What am I doing? What am I doing? What am I doing?
This 79-year cover-up of the truth has to end.
We're interrupting our coverage.
How will disclosure change us?
Wow.
I believe for the better. It will remind us of our capacity for empathy, and that there is something bigger out there than just ourselves.
The only way to know your purpose is to go back to where it all began. I know you.
Let's go.
I know you do.
I know you
What
too.
happened to us?
You got
I
abducted.
used to say to myself, wouldn't it be wonderful if all of this turned out to be true? I'm now thinking, wouldn't it be wonderful for people to know
That's good. Damn.
all of this is true?
Oh, damn. Look at that shot, y'all. What a great shot. Wow.
Disclosure Day.
Let's go. Let's go. All right. Clearly, this looks amazing, right? And especially that one shot, right, where they show the deer's eye and then it pans around and you can see the alien eye. What a great shot, man. I mean, that is Spielberg at his finest, y'all. Yeah, this looks so good, right? This basically has everything you would want in a UFO cover-up movie, right? You've got a whistleblower that's on the run. You've got clearly some sort of abductions happening there. You know, this sort of like mysterious group that's sort of trying to keep everything, suppress everything from coming out, right? And you basically got a couple just everyday people who there may be more to their history, trying to get the information out to the rest of the world, right? I mean, this has it all, if you're asking me. And then Steven Spielberg deciding to cover this. Yeah, I want to see it. I think a lot of people do. I can honestly, the anticipation for this film is bleeding far outside of just the UFO community. for sure, because this is something that interests everybody, especially with how popular of a topic it is right now. And Steven Spielberg actually recently went on Michelle Obama's podcast and talked a little bit more about the film and especially why he wanted to make it.
Well, we're talking about your latest project, which is Disclosure and
Disclosure Day. Yeah.
Disclosure Day.
Mhm.
And why don't you give us the premise of the movie, what we can expect?
Well, the movie, I've been sort of on this dance floor before when I was much, much younger. I made a movie in 1976, which came out in 1977 called Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Mhm.
Oh, that one.
Oh, that one.
I think I remember that.
You heard of that one, huh?
And that was a movie certainly about the first time, humankind meets an advanced civilization from off our world, from out there. And I haven't really visited that particular subject matter for close to 50 years. Next year it'll be 50 years when Close Encounters was released.
Wow.
But I felt, starting back in, I think, 2023, when the New York Times came out with a story, it was a story influenced by a whistleblower that released some footage to the New York Times. And it was a story written by, I believe, Helene Cooper and Ralph Blumenthal and Leslie Kean. And it was a story about what Navy pilots had photographed on their FLIR systems, their infrared systems, their forward-facing infrared systems, of a UFO, now called a UAP, which stands for Unidentified Anomalous Phenomenon. I kind of like unidentified flying objects better. I like UFO
so
better than that.
Yeah.
I don't know why it changed.
I won't remember that.
But
the
in
new
a sense, it brought a more of a serious, more of an acceptable sort of lexicon of terms to a world that even now, 50 years after Close Encounters, is more likely to believe that something has been happening for decade upon decade upon decade about our world being visited. And our movie is about what would happen if all this information was disclosed all at the same time. How would that affect everything? And the story really is about the attempt to stop any disclosure from ever taking place. And that's why a lot of this film is a wild, relentless chase.
Yeah. What is your I won't say obsession, but your deep interest in what's happening beyond our planet?
I guess it's just because of my curiosity, even more than my imagination, because there's a lot of Close Encounters that I made up, but there's a lot in Disclosure Day that I don't really feel I needed to make up because it's out there, as they said with the X-Files. The truth is out there, and I think the truth is now here. And who is brave enough to really come forward and tell all of us that we shouldn't be afraid of living with this truth? And that curiosity more than imagination that is what drove me to tackle the subject.
Now, I will say that I think Spielberg is getting a few things confused there. See, this is what a UFO researcher can add context to, because the New York Times article that he's speaking of didn't come out in 2017, 2023. It came out in 2017. And what came out in 2023 was an article that Ralph Blumenthal and Leslie Kean put out on their own. But that was about David Grush, right? He's the one that testified in the summer of 2023, right? In July of 2023. Initially came out in June of 2023. And then in July of 2023, he's already testifying, right? So, but clearly just a bunch of different things, that have come out publicly is what has inspired Steven Spielberg to make this movie. And something else that's also interesting from that same interview, Steven Spielberg reveals that former President Barack Obama, right? Remember, he's on Michelle Obama's podcast, the former First Lady. Steven Spielberg reveals that Barack Obama visited the set of Disclosure Day. And he also reveals it's the only set he's ever visited. That's kind of interesting.
But he got to come on set for this one.
This is the first set Barack ever visited.
Mm-hmm.
Even though your daughter's a filmmaker, Malia.
Yeah, right.
So I feel bad I scooped Malia and he came on my schedule.
She will never invite us to anything that she does. You know, she doesn't want us around her stuff. But he had a ball.
Yeah, it was great. It was great. It was, of course, for my cast, it was a bit of a religious experience because in walks this iconic president who comes onto our set.
That seems like
to me, he's a
lot
friend.
Of pressure.
To me, he's a good friend. Of course, all of us. We know each other so well. But on the set, the kids didn't know Barack except from what he's done for the world and who he represents, and they were just absolutely. And I have a very extroverted cast. Mm-hmm. You could hear a pin drop when he walked in.
Yeah.
They didn't know what to say.
Did they know he was coming ahead of time, or
I didn't tell all of them.
Oh.
I told some of them, but not all of them.
Now, when I said it's the only set he's ever visited, it's the only Steven Spielberg set that he's ever visited, right? But he chose Disclosure Day, right? That's kind of interesting when you consider some recent news about Barack Obama and some comments he made about aliens. Remember this?
Couple questions here. Are aliens real?
They're real, but I haven't seen them, and they're not being kept in what is it?
Area 51.
Area 51. There's no underground facility unless there's this enormous conspiracy, and they hid it from the president of the United States.
What was the first question you wanted answered when you became president?
Where are the aliens?
Where are the aliens?
Yeah, that went absolutely viral, right? Because that was on a podcast that had nothing to do with aliens. They were talking about politics, and then that gets brought up, right? And even President Trump aboard Air Force One was asked about it, and his comments were even revealing.
Something that got a lot of attention this week. Barack Obama said that aliens are real. Have you seen any evidence of non-human visitors to Earth?
Well, he gave classified information. He's not supposed to be doing that.
So aliens are real.
Well, I don't know if they're real or not. I can tell you, he gave classified information. He's not supposed to be doing that. He made a big mistake. He took it out of classified information. No, I don't have an opinion on it. I never talk about it. A lot of people do. A lot of people believe it. Do you believe it, Peter?
Well, the president can declassify anything that he wants to. So
well,
if you want to make an announcement,
I may get him out of trouble by declassifying.
We know illegal aliens.
Yeah, illegal. Only illegals.
And then on top of that, after all the comments, President Barack Obama, former President Barack Obama, went on Instagram. Most people didn't see this, and he basically tried to walk back the comments, and not necessarily walk them back, but clarify what exactly he meant by aliens are real, right? He meant more just like in the universe, I think there's other life out there, like we're not alone, right? But people took it the other way. So, and then to sort of further clarify his comments, he was asked by Stephen Colbert about that.
Earlier this year, you said of aliens,
yes,
quote, they're real, but I haven't seen them. Then you tried to walk it back the next day. You know, no one believed you, right? Because that first one had the ring of truth. It was just a guy just finally let it out. And then the next day you're like, well, what I meant was, I'm sure that somewhere out there, given the infinite, nature of the universe and no one buys that. Just come clean, man. You don't want to tarnish a reputation for just like frankness and honesty at this point of your career.
Oh, Lord.
Sir, at long last, won't you just...
I thought it was so obvious what I meant.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Oh, it was obvious what you meant. And we all got the message.
Here's the thing.
Uh-huh.
For those of you who still think that, we've got little green men underground somewhere.
Yeah.
One of the things you learn as president is government is terrible at keeping secrets. This idea of conspiracy theories, if there were aliens or alien spaceships or anything under the control of the United States government that we knew about, seen, photographs, what have you, I promise you, some guy guarding the installation would have taken a selfie with one of the aliens and sent it to his girlfriend to impress him. It would leak.
Or there'd be like hints. There'd be like certain hints out there, like a presidential center would look like a scout ship. that's just come down from low orbit and landed in Chicago. That would happen, something like that.
It could happen.
Okay.
And
do you wish they were real?
I actually do. All right, I'm putting in a plug now.
Okay.
First Contact. I think I would be a good emissary for the planet.
You represent me.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a diverse background, some experience in statecraft and diplomacy. I'm friendly.
Okay.
Yeah. So I actually think, I could do a pretty good job. All right.
That's a good pitch.
Yeah.
We will keep that in mind. Thank you so much.
But it hasn't happened yet.
Okay, great.
All right.
And we have your phone number here on the resume. Thank you so much. Very impressive.
Good.
Now, something else interesting from the film, and you've seen it from the trailers, especially the initial trailer that first came out. It's like the first thing you see Emily Blunt's character. She's playing like a weather person, weather woman. I don't know how, meteorologist, right? On the local news. You can see sort of the weather, forecast behind her. And you just, all of a sudden she's like clicking, whatever noises she's making, everyone's like, whoa, what the hell? You know what I mean? What's going on here? What's interesting about that is Emily Blunt gave a little more context about those sounds and how that all came together. She revealed it on a recent episode of Hot Ones.
There's a scene in the movie where your character, a meteorologist on live television, has this almost jarring kind of vocal transformation and speaking in clicks and tones.
Yeah.
How do you even approach a scene like that as an actress? That seems like such a singular sequence.
It was, and even kind of leading up to that moment where she starts speaking in this non-human language. It's a 4-minute one-er that we shot that leads up to that moment where she's gradually sort of disintegrating. And did you hear that throat gurgle?
I did. I think the boom will catch that.
What the actual F was that? Is that like panic, or is it?
It almost was like
or
the
is it?
scene.
That's what Shishido said.
It was
That is
almost
what
like the
Shishido
scene.
said, guys. That's exactly what she said. I actually could have used this on the set of Disclosure Day. That was a perfect alien language. There's various ways you could do it. You could go the AI route, which I'm a bit terrified of. I thought I could make some really strange sounds, as you've all just seen. So I said, maybe I could come in and we'll just do a range of weird sounds. And it's what we did. And I did sort of the clicking sounds, I did sort of humming sounds, consonant sounds, breathing, strange sounds. And what we did was we put one microphone here and one here. And so it kind of captures it in a really weird way. And then the sound designer went away and created that weird sound.
So that's kind of some cool insight there of like how those sounds came together, because many people were speculating initially, oh, they copied it from another movie. You know what I mean? They were just kind of, using other stuff. And then some people even speculating, oh, those are real alien sounds. They got real aliens to make this. I mean, people are crazy, right? But actually it's just, good old fashioned filmmaking and sound design, which I think is even cooler if you ask me. They also released a clip behind the scenes of Emily Blunt and Steven Spielberg working on those sounds.
You know Morse code, you know how Morse code goes. Goes That's really good. That's really good.
I thought that was really cool. So that's basically how they put this together, right? Just do a bunch of different sounds, and then the sound designer goes in and mixes it all together, and you get the final version that we hear in the trailers. And I'm sure there'll be more of that in the film, and I can't wait to see how that all plays out, honestly. Now, this is an interesting clip from Steven Spielberg and Coleman Domingo, who is also in the film, and they were doing an interview with Extra, and they're kind of asked, like, would you be for a disclosure day, right? Would you be for a moment in time where the world is revealed all in one big swoop, that we're not alone, and more details, right? Basically, what a lot of people push for in the UFO community, and really just what a lot of people push for worldwide, right? if we're not alone, tell us the facts, give us the details, let us know.
Would you be for a disclosure day?
I would absolutely be for an actual disclosure day, which is sort of why I made the film, to maybe hurry it along a little bit more. But it's a chase film. It's an action movie, and it's a film with very compelling characters, and they are all searching for a truth. The people that want to stop this from being disclosed publicly are after them. And so in that sense, it's pretty breathtaking, and you got to put on a seatbelt when you go to the movie theater. But at the same time, there's a whole other level to this movie about humanity and how we actually, compared to what we call non-human off-world intelligence, what is happening right now with our on Earth, communion between people who perhaps do not agree on anything. But something like this, a disclosure day, would bring them together in a kind of, maybe for the first time, bridging the divide that divides us.
I feel like, listen, I feel like we need something to, something to just quiet the noise that we have between each other and unite us in some way, shape, or form. I think I'm all for it because I watched congressional hearings. I've done a lot of research and study about this as well. And I think that, if there are, of course, I feel like our friend Emily, she says it's very arrogant to think that we are all alone in the universe. And I feel like that expands our vision of who we are, of who we can be. It disrupts a lot of systems that we have, which I don't think it may not be such a bad thing. I feel like we may need a new vision and a new way how do we come together as long as we do it together. Yeah.
And what's also interesting is that Coleman Domingo actually, as he mentions in that interview, right, he did a lot of research for his character, which makes me think he has a way bigger role than we've seen in the trailers, because you just see the 79-year cover-up has got to end,
This 79-year cover-up of the truth has to end.
I think he has a way bigger role. Why is he doing so much research, right? So that's kind of interesting. We don't even know what character he plays, anything about, who he is. But he did do a lot of research for this film, which is really cool to hear from a lot of the different actors, the type of research that they did.
And a lot of research we started, Stephen was sharing a lot of documentary things with me, interviews, people who have been really out there, whether they, had experiences or whether they've been working with people who've had experiences. So for me, it's downloading a lot of information to make some assessments for myself. What do I believe as well? Were people lying or are they telling the truth? Because there are many, many different ways to unpack this information. And when you look at, there's many, many observations that's been done on groups of people, whole towns that have had visitations in many ways. And it's been debunked in many ways, sometimes by authorities. But I feel like it's really about grappling with the truth and really just to take everyone's experience as being sincere and not, trying to manipulate it in some way, shape, or form. Because I think people are trying to control whether or not we have had these experiences or not.
I mean, I think that's a fair approach, and that has to be kind of an interesting thing for these actors who may not necessarily believe in this stuff, but you know what? They're going to do their due diligence and they're going to follow the story. I mean, this is a fictional feature narrative, right? Based on things that Spielberg thinks are real, right? In that sense. So I don't know if there's any real things in the film. I mean, that's what some people are saying. I don't believe that to be true, but they're basing it off of things that they think are real or stories that they've heard, new whistleblowers coming out, all the stuff we cover on this channel. So just from a fan standpoint, I just appreciate the due diligence they did to try to reflect some of the stuff that is in ufology right now. It's going to have a double-edged effect, meaning people are going to see stuff that's in ufology, especially if you're deep in it like I am, and a lot of people that watch this show, they're going to see it in the film and go, see, it is true. It's true. That doesn't mean it's true, but I think just them doing their work and their research, which Steven Spielberg is very famous for doing. I mean, Close Encounters had, ufologist on hand to sort of add, context and just some of the lore and history and stories that were out there, right? J. Allen Hynek, Jack Valet. There was a lot of people that helped consult on that film. So it seems like they did the same thing for Disclosure Day. Now, what would be interesting to find out, and I have not seen any news about this, is if any of the whistleblowers that are, out there have helped consulted on the film. I don't know. I haven't heard anything about that. But now the writer of the story, right, who helped write many of Spielberg's earlier films as well, went on News Nation and gave a little context to, the story and how it was written. I mean, he made 42 drafts, I think of it, 41 or 42 different drafts of the script.
And the timing is pretty impeccable, given that the Pentagon's been releasing a number of new UFO, UAP files. But I read that you had 42 drafts as a result of writing this screenplay. How did you know that draft 42 was the one?
Well, I do want to straighten out. It's not like we tore it up and started over 41 times. Mm-hmm. The drafts, it was a continual process of refinement. And what I'll say is, Steven, I made a number of movies with Steven. He's always focused, but his level of focus on this movie surpassed anything I'd ever seen before. There was a period of about a year there where he reread the script every day. It was seemingly with fresh eyes, and I would wake up to, if he was elsewhere in the world, I would wake up to 30, 35 texts with ideas. And that just went on for quite a while. So though the drafts became, finer and finer, smaller refinements all the way, but the flow of ideas never stopped, which is usually a sign that you're on to something good.
I have to ask you, given what you've researched and the documents you poured over and the number of times you've rewritten this to make it perfect, do you believe that we're not alone in the universe, that aliens outside of Earth exist?
I certainly do. I believe, I think the possibility of intelligent life elsewhere in the universe isn't just a possibility, it's a mathematical certainty. And I don't think you need proof of that. It's not possible, given the vastness of the universe, even just our galaxy, it would be the height of arrogance to say we're the only ones with an intelligent thought in our heads. What I still am longing for proof of, as everybody is concrete proof that we have been visited by the same. And that is something, though we see the disclosure movement growing in strength and some limited disclosure starting now, I think there's still an enormous amount that's being held back.
So that's an interesting perspective, right? And I, especially there at the end, his comments there at the end, I can't say I disagree. I think a lot of people think that, right? I mean, that's exactly where I stand. I think it's just a mathematical certainty that we are not alone in the universe. I think a lot of people agree, but it's the second question, right? Have they visited here, right? Are we alone on this planet? That's the bigger question. And, it's funny that he uses the term limited disclosure. They are disclosing things, but what we're not getting is the proof that we need that we're not alone, right? There's a lot of circumstantial proof, right? A lot of witness testimony, things you go, okay, that's credible. That's great. Let's keep going, right? But that real proof, right? Is the government really holding that back from us? We'll have to wait and see. Well, Disclosure Day, this new Steven Spielberg movie, pushed the needle forward in some odd way, right? It's not uncommon for a film to have an impact on a movement, on a cultural movement. So could this film have that kind of impact? In some ways you could argue it will, in the sense that it will, reignite the fire within a lot of people who may not have that fire, right, about UFO disclosure. I mean, it's at its peak right now. You got the Trump administration releasing UFO files, whistleblowers, there's hearings, there's all, what I mean? There's all kinds of things happening. So if it were going to happen, now would be the time. All right, Vetters, I hope you enjoyed today's video. We'll see you on the next one. Remember, every day's a gift, y'all. Peace.